name is Carolyn Madden, and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters, Washtenaw County. Welcome to the online candidate forum for the 22nd Circuit Court, which is co-sponsored by the Dispute Resolution Center, the League of Women Voters, Washtenaw County, and the Washtenaw County Bar Association. The co-sponsors do not endorse candidates. The co-sponsors are nonpartisan, nonprofit organizations that promote voter education and participation. And we host candidate forums to help voters make informed choices. Now let's hear from the candidates.
Good evening. My name is Belinda Doolin, and I will moderate the forum tonight. It is my honor to introduce the two nonpartisan candidates running for judge of the 22nd Circuit Court, Marla Linderman Richelieu and Ariane Elizabeth Slay. Thank you, candidates, for your participation tonight. We're going to go ahead and get started, and we're ready for your opening statement. Ms. Richelieu?
Hi, it's Linderman Richelieu.
Linderman Richelieu, I'm sorry.
It's okay. Hi, I'm Marla. Thank you so much for having this forum today, especially on voter registration day. The work that the sponsoring groups do to protect the right to vote and help people learn about the candidates is so important and so appreciated. We're about to talk about some important issues. Judges don't get to pick the cases that come before them. So we need to have experience and expertise in many different areas of law, like civil, family, juvenile, business, and criminal, and represent a wide variety of people from many different walks of life. We need to be impartial, fair, and compassionate. Now I'm going to do the best I can to answer the questions in the time allotted, but these are complex issues. So you can learn more about me and what I stand for, my experience, and what I hope for my community at marlaforjudge.org or on my Facebook or Instagram. Feel free to connect with me. Ask me questions. You deserve answers. Judges should be here for you because it's your court. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Slay, may we have your opening statement?
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for taking time to view this very brief forum. My name is Ariane Slay, and I am asking for your support and consideration tonight. For follow-up questions, please visit slayforjudge.com or feel free to follow me on social media. For those of you who don't know me, I have been in Washtenaw County for over 37 years. I think you can best describe me as a mom, a wife, and a justice reformer. I have over 17 years of public service right here in Washtenaw County. Because of my track record and my contributions to the community, bringing the first ever diversion program, amending our ordinances, representing the city of Ann Arbor in general civil matters, and doing over 200 trials, I've garnered some pretty great support from over 200 of our legal partners, community activists, community members, and the majority of the Washtenaw County bench. I appreciate your consideration tonight, and I look forward to sharing you my progressive commitment to change and equity in our court system.
Thank you. We're going to move on to the questions now, and we'll begin with Ms. Slay with the first question. What is the most significant challenge facing the 22nd Circuit Court today, and how can that challenge be addressed?
There are a few, but I think transparency is something that our community is truly craving, as they should. If we are going to ask as a community, in the legal community, to trust the justice system, we need to be transparent about what we're doing. Right now, we do not have a forward-facing data system. The courts are not subject to FOIA, which is the Freedom of Information. So it's very hard for the community to understand really what the court is doing, looking at disparities and trends and being forward with the community in those regards. I think it's also the best way for us to evaluate how we're spending our court resources and how we're spending our time. So I think providing a forum where we can have public facing data that's unified with the rest of the state is extremely important. Our Chief Justice, while her tenure is coming to an end, unfortunately. She has proposed to the state of Michigan a unified data system, and I incredibly support that, and I will be glad to usher that in Washtenaw County.
Thank you. Same question, Ms. Linderman Richelieu.
Thank you. I actually agree with Ariane here. It's not just transparency, though. It's accountability and just dealing with some of the backlog we have. We need to get information to the public. We need to do this now. And I'm excited about this program that's going to come in from our Chief Justice, and I definitely support it. But we can do this now, and I'm already working with our community leaders so that day one we'll have that transparency in my court. We also need to make sure that we don't have delayed justice here. COVID has caused a really horrible backlog. I mean, we have some cases who've been sitting around 2 to 3 years, people who are living in pain, people who are just waiting to be able to get to the court, to have their day, to have their voice heard. So we need to deal with everything together. We need to make sure that the court is there for people. We need to make it available. We need to make it transparent, accountable, timely. We need to make sure that everyone's voice is heard. So that is my commitment. As of day one, that will happen. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move to our second question, and we'll start with Ms. Linderman Richelieu. This seat is likely to have a criminal docket. What experiences in your career prepare you to handle complex criminal law matters in an era of criminal justice reform? You're muted.
Thank you. There I am trying to be responsible.
Mm.
I've been working in the criminal justice system my entire career. So they call it the school to prison pipeline, and we need to work at diverting that. And when you're a civil rights attorney like me, you're working with education, you're working with housing, you're working with this employment, you're working every step of that school to prison pipeline, including helping incarcerated individuals. Because I am the federal co-chair of the Pro Bono Project, where we help incarcerated individuals. You know, I was asked by Ellie Savitt to be on his corporate crimes task force so I could bring my expertise to Washtenaw County. And our chief prosecutor, Dana Nessel, is strongly supporting me. So I have done criminal defense. I have gone and been part of the original diversion kind of plans with working directly with teachers, because we know those are the original diverters, helping to make sure that our students and our children can succeed in life. So every step of the criminal justice system, because it's not just what's in court, that's the shortest time period of people in the criminal justice system. But from the beginning to the end, I have been part of that process for 20 plus years.
Thank you. Ms. Slay, same question. And you're mute, okay.
Thank you. I have practiced in a wide variety of disciplines in labor, civil, but my main focus has been criminal. So I started off as an assistant prosecutor, for which I was in Washtenaw County during that time. 7 years I ran the domestic violence unit, and I've served 5 years as the Ann Arbor City prosecutor in that capacity. So I understand the docket management problems, especially coming from the backlog of COVID. I started our county's first ever adult diversion program and deflection programs. In addition to that, I understand what it is like to run a criminal docket, in the sense that as a prosecutor, I prepared 5 trials a week, 2 capital, 3 non-capital every Monday, and was prepared for a 60+ case docket. I understand what that takes. I understand the time constraints, and I understand that even though we have so many cases, we need to be fair and equitable about making sure that everyone has their time. One of the biggest things I think I bring to this conversation is a track record of addressing root causes of justice involvement. I believe mass incarceration is real. I believe that incarceration should be used for those who cannot be safe in our community. I do not believe it is a first a first line of what we should go to first after somebody has been found guilty. I think we should be addressing root causes and really look at institutional opportunities for change. That means addressing root causes. I will usher in the end of rubber stamp probation request where everybody has the same conditions. Not everyone presents to court in the exact same way, so they should not have the exact same conditions. I believe in restorative justice. I believe in the opportunity for victims to share their concerns with the court and be heard and be listened to. And I believe that I have the temperament and the background to help serve in this capacity. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. We're going to move to the third question, and we'll begin with Ms. Slay. Do you believe all citizens have adequate access to legal help in the legal system? If not, what can be done to provide wider and better access within current budgetary constraints? Ms. Slay.
I do not believe that. And I think one of the key words that you said, Ms. Doolin, was citizens. Talking about our population who are undocumented, they have probably the least access to court resources. So one of the things that we can do is partner with our local universities. First and foremost, the court forms are confusing and they're only written in English, and not everyone in our community speaks or reads English. And so even that small workload of translating our forms so that everyone can have access and have a better understanding of what's going on in court is important. In addition to that, access is also an issue, especially on the western side of our county, where a lot of people do not have broadband access. I know our county is diligently working to fix that, but as we have moved into the Zoom age and we are all Zooming and using Microsoft Teams, there is a huge group of people who, for multiple reasons, don't have access to broadband, cannot afford internet services, or do not have access to devices. We can't leave those folks out. So within our budgetary, that's always the issue, right? So if we can't find the grants to be able to fix that, maybe even looking at promoting working stations across at our Western Service Center, at our Eastern Service Center, having Zoom rooms and Zoom technology available. Within those, Zoom has a great new product that they're offering for government agencies right now with translation services, which is incredibly exciting because you can have real-time translation during pre-sentence interviews, with talking with the court clerks, when communicating with the judicial offices. And I'm incredibly excited to employ all of those things coming up in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question, Ms. Linderman Richelieu.
Well, this is one area that I've been working on my entire career. I won't talk about the need for, translators and those services. Ariane did a great job with that. But there's so much more that we need to do. And I have been doing that. I've been working with courts to make sure that there's ways for hearing impaired people to be able to be part of the process. I've been working with them about people who are, differently abled in many ways, because access has so many definitions. It's, can you get into the courtroom? Can you, like Ariane said, can you connect to Zoom? Can you hear when you see it? When can you hear when you're Zooming? Can you see when you're Zooming? I'm working with the courts and have been for years on these issues. Things that I'm really proud of is when I was president of Women Lawyers, I went and asked all the courts to start having a breastfeeding room so that employees, attorneys, witnesses would have some dignity in doing that. And I was successful in doing that. There's all these things that have to go in. Religion. I had to call a court recently. They were going to have a county-wide meeting, and it was like on Rosh Hashanah or Yom Kippur. Like, you can't do that because then you're excluding people. So there's so many ways that we make it hard for people. We need to make it simpler. We need to go and find and work with organizations that work with access in all the different ways. We need to bring attorneys in, and I've been doing that. I've been bringing attorneys together to work towards these access issues, because access also means, can you get an attorney? And they cannot. That's why I'm proud of my pro bono work and working on the federal pro bono project. I have actually helped over 1,500 people with pro bono services this year. Access means so much.
Thank you. We will move to our next question and begin with Ms. Linderman Richelieu. Please describe a situation where your values caused you to take a position that angered or offended people, and explain how you handled that situation.
Good question. Well, I try really hard not to anger people. However, I'm someone who will speak my mind. And I talk about a situation where I was helping a woman who was about to be thrown out by the city of Ann Arbor because she had a disability. They used cleaning products that she was allergic to. And instead of just changing the cleaning products, they were going to evict her. The city of Ann Arbor was going to evict her on Christmas Eve. And I was not scared to take on City Hall. I was not worried about them being angry because I was telling them they could not close down Ann Arbor until they found this person a home. I was clear. I was calm. I was direct. And I spoke from the heart. And we worked together, even though I really was probably making people pretty angry that when they wanted to go home on their family, I was saying, not until this woman has a place to wake up on Christmas.
Thank you. Ms. Slay?
Ms. Doolin, would you repeat the question?
Yes. Please
Thank you.
describe a situation where your values caused you to take a position that angered or offended people, and explain how you handled the situation.
I can't think of one just offhand where maybe I've offended someone, but I will tell you that when I brought the new diversion program to the city of Ann Arbor, there were quite a few people who were, maybe angry isn't the best word, but angry or confused as to what I was doing. I was switching up the rules that they had grown accustomed to for a long time, which was you come into the city of Ann Arbor, you have your criminal case heard, you pay a fine, we make it a civil infraction, and we keep it moving. What I was looking for was more restorative practices. I was looking for accountability and atonement. I was looking for the piece of reflection, and I was looking for the healing aspect to it. So I was making recommendations to participate in a criminal diversion program, which doesn't result in a conviction, and asking their clients to do more than they had ever done before. And the defense bar didn't like it at first. And they were pretty resistant to it. But what they found out, and what we've all learned in the last couple of years, is that the steps that we were making in diversion were actually keeping people from coming back. It was helping them address the root cause of what brought them to be justice involved in the city of Ann Arbor. And it was actually helping. I don't believe in a punitive form of justice. I believe that we should be restorative and giving people a hand up instead of a handout, and to help address those root issues. I'll tell you, it was not a popular program, but now to this day, almost 5 years later, I get phone calls from the defense bar, and they're like, Ariane, I've got a diversion candidate. Let's talk about it. Let's get it done. And I think everyone's excited about it. So change is uncomfortable for everyone. But I'm not afraid to be out there and to try new things and to push the envelope in true progressive form to be a true justice reformer. So it wasn't the most popular decision, but I think it's one that we're all very happy with now.
Thank you. We'll move to the next question, and we'll begin with Ms. Slay. Judges must work together to administer our courts. How will you work with other Washtenaw County judges to build this collaborative relationship from day one?
Well, I think that's kind of already been in play for a long time for me. So I do have the support right now of the majority of the Washtenaw County bench, which I'm incredibly humbled by, and have a good working relationship with them. In addition to that, I've been appearing in front of the court for a long time. I'm on a committee right now with Judge Vandenberg and several other community members to talk about how to be safe and how we can effectuate safe storage of firearms in relation to personal protection orders. And that is something that I think is incredibly powerful. I understand that it's not just the bench that we need to rally together to make change. We need to bring in our community partners. We need to bring in our restorative justice practitioners. We need to bring in our mediators. We need to bring everyone to the table who has a skill that can help reform our courts. And I do have a history of doing that in the community and being collaborative. So I welcome the opportunity. I'm looking forward to having new colleagues. I love the ones I'm with. I'll miss them dearly, but I am also looking forward to the new adventure and challenges that await in building a better and trustworthy court.
Thank you. Same question, Ms. Linderman Richelieu.
Thank you. Well, I'm lucky that I'm already doing this because I have been, my peers have put me on the State Bar of Michigan Courts and Civil Procedure Committee where I get a voice. I'm in the room where we're discussing all the changes, not just in Washtenaw, but throughout the state. And my peers, the Washtenaw attorneys, have elected me as one of their voices in the Representative Assembly, where again, I'm in the room where it happens. So I have been working collaboratively with not just the Washtenaw County Court, but all of our courts. And I'm so proud to have Chief Judge Lisa Gleischer supporting me and the Court of Appeals Judge Seema Patel and Michelle Ricks and Christina Garrett, because I have judges actually supporting me from all over the state because of the work I've been doing to make our courts work better for everyone, including increasing restorative justice, making sure that punishment is not a synonym for justice. It should not be. So I've been doing that for years, and I'm proud that my voice has been heard and that I've been part of the process for so long at such high levels. Internally, I get along really well with all the judges, and I'm excited to come in and talk to them about the backlog. And I'm excited about being able to reach out to the attorneys who I've led in so many different leadership roles and bring them to the table, because I do that every time. I bring the attorneys. During COVID, I had, I don't know, I think there's 50, 60 attorneys who came together to make sure small businesses could open safely. I brought together attorneys so we can go and bring free access and free legal services to people. And I'm going to be able to bring all those connections to the court and connect us even stronger to the state of Michigan.
Thank you. We will move to our final question and begin with Ms. Linderman Richelieu. What are the specific aspects of a judicial position on the 22nd Circuit Court that moved you to run for it?
I don't think there's anything about running about the court that made me move for it. It's the people. It's only the people. Too many times people call my office, and I do employment discrimination. So I have people calling me saying, my boss grabbed insert body part. My boss called me, insert words that none of us will say. And then they start apologizing to me for calling me. They say, I'm not the kind of person who goes to court. I've never done this. That's why I'm running. I'm running for the people, because they're the heroes, and you should never feel like you're not welcome in the courts. I've been advocating for access and justice in every aspect. Like I said, I do education law and fair housing and employment discrimination and represent veterans. I mean, there's no area of law when you do employment and civil rights in business that you do not connect. And I've walked in the shoes of workers and teachers and nurses as I walk beside them, representing them. I'm doing it for them because I've been advocating for access to justice. I've been advocating for diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility for everyone. And as a judge, I don't have to advocate. I can make sure that in my courtroom, you have a voice, that justice is served. I can help build trust in our judicial system, because there's been a lot of things that have happened that have made people not trust our judicial system. And it needs to be for the people. So that's why I'm running. Not for me, because I just care about my community and someone had to step up. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Slay, same question?
Could you repeat the question for me, please?
Yes. What are the specific aspects of a judicial position on the 22nd Circuit Court that moved you to run for it?
Well, I will start out by saying we need to call it is what it is. It's not a lot of things that have happened. It's institutional racism that has eroded public trust and kept people from being able to trust our system. I am not afraid to address issues of race, of discrimination, and of institutional inequities that we have. I am a justice reformer, and I understand that I have taken this to many different avenues by working with our public defender, by working with our prosecutor, by starting programs in the city of Ann Arbor that can be modeled in the rest of our community. I believe that my service has provided kind of a blueprint for others to join in the justice reform movement. I believe that my ability to be fair and impartial and to provide a space that would promote equity will make me best suited for the 22nd Circuit Court. I will be unapologetic when I say that representation actually matters. Being a Black woman and being the only person of color on the Circuit Court bench, and for over a decade, it's been the case. And I think that that helps build trust when we have the right person in there to do it. That will be one decision day after day, day after day, to show that we can be trustworthy by promoting those things that we talked about earlier: transparency and equity, and to not just talk about the things that we can do, but to look at the things we have done and to work forward with our community together to make sure that we are taking a united and collaborative approach to justice reform. And that is why I'm running, because I believe I present those qualities that will make me best suited for the bench. And this is how I can continue public service in a very meaningful and deliberate way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And now it's time for your closing statements. Remember, you have 90 seconds, and we will begin with Ms. Linderman Richelieu.
Oh, I thought that I would be the closer since I was the opener. Okay, I will go. Thank you so much for your time. I really hope that you will take time to learn more about me and why I'm running for the Washtenaw County Circuit Court. When I'm talking to voters, I get asked a lot about what does the Circuit Court do? And it's a great question. Our Circuit Court hears civil cases like voting rights and reproductive rights, constitutional law, employment discrimination, auto accidents, environmental cases, family law, probate, juvenile, business, and criminal cases. I've been practicing law in Washtenaw for 25 years, and I've handled cases in all of those areas. And I've handled them all the way up to the Michigan Supreme Court over and over and over again. I've been trusted to be the voice of over 1,300 lawyers who have supported and endorsed me. I have been practicing law for 25 years, but I'm just like you, I'm more than just my job. I'm a small business owner, a wife, a mom, and an active member of our community. And what I hope you learned about me today is that I'm passionate about serving my community. For 20 years, my peers have asked me to take leadership roles. For 20 years, I have stood up. I believe the court is here for you. No one chooses to go to court. And many of the people I talk to have never gone to court, but they want to know that if needed, it will work for their family, their friends, their neighbors. You need to be able to trust that your rights matter and that your voice will be heard. It's not about me, it's about you. Thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Slay?
Thank you again. And I appreciate everyone taking the time to watch this forum. As Marla and I mentioned earlier, this is a very short forum, and so I'm available for questions. at slayforjudge.com or slayforjudge@gmail.com. So please feel free to reach out to me. We are running for office, so there is nothing, no question we won't answer. Everything's on the table. But when I say that, I also am saying that I've put my heart and soul into serving this community for almost 2 decades. And I am very proud to say that I believe I have the support that I've garnered to date, because you can trust what I'm saying. I stood before many of you in 2020 in another race. And in that race, we talked about the justice reforms that I had been doing and the justice reforms that I planned on doing. Everything I told you I was going to do, I did. And I brought that forth in our community. I'm ready to present a more trustworthy and unified court system. I appreciate so much the ability to stand before you, being an attorney, a mom, a woman of color, giving the opportunity to call things as they are and to really show a commitment to progressive change. I appreciate the fact that there are so many who came before me who were not able to do that in this space. So thank you today for providing the space, and I look forward to hearing from all of you in the future. Please remember to vote. Thank you.
Remember to vote. Both of us agree on.
Yes, vote.
We both want you to vote. Please do. And if we can just say, I think we've said it in other forums, Ariane and I have been working really well together, and we are trying to be a model for other races. We do not need to be nasty to each other. We need to lift up everyone. And I think that is important, because at the end, Ariane and I are going to work together no matter who wins. And I think that's really important for the community to know.
Thank you. Thank you both for your participation in this valuable session. And we appreciate the time that you've given to us and to the community this evening. Thank you.
Yes, and thank you very much. It's been a wonderful session. The Dispute Resolution Center, the League of Women Voters, and Washtenaw County Bar Association thank the candidates and volunteers who participated in this forum and community members who submitted questions. Please urge others to view our forums. Most importantly, please vote in the November 8th general election, and either by absentee ballot or in person. And thank you very much, everyone.